Seems so strange. We've entered World War III. Deja vu here if you don't know where you are. Yeah, Ayatollah, they say, liars, they say, the ones that are liars. So do we believe what they tell us? Well, we supposedly took his life. I don't know how true this is, and I'm so sorry to those in Persia, Iran, if they lost their person who's their leader, if they deemed him beloved, if he was good and honorable person. I am very sorry for his passing if this happened. I don't believe a lot of what I hear anymore. So it's very hard for me to digest such information when liars and snakes are the ones that speak it. Those are the ones that have said it. So I started my day out about AI and how it effed with me while I was talking to my mother. Come back to the machine and there it was, saying lies on me right there. Okay, then I come back after streaming and I see one of the, I think just an ordinary gamer is his channel, and he's on my algorithm quite often, so now and then I listen to him. He said that Skynet went live. So now I get the whole thing about how the computer, do you want to play a game? And that could be what Flora Brewer was talking about. I haven't had my full attention anywhere lately when it comes to any videos. Matter of fact, I was going to create Thursday the live stream where I collected some of the interest from people with a thumbs up before I went live at Cosmic Sage. And I spent 5 seconds before I sent it to the garage, if you will, at YouTube, because it wasn't meant to go live. It was basically a space holder. And I had a video I hit, and you could hear a tarot reader talking. It's funny. Mercury retrograde has just been doing its best on me lately. Anyways, I don't know if I'm an Essenes from where Yeshua held, but I looked on Ascension Glossary, and the Essenes are Christos Templars, okay? And on my dad's side, I have the origins that is the Essenes origin. I don't see the link here again. I'm just going to read a little bit here. It's my dad's side. I think it's my mom's that's supposed to matter, but I don't know. And she and he are very close in the locations in which the family is held. So it's hard telling, but they don't seem to be the same staples. Because she's where I get the Welsh side, Welsh and Scots, and it's potential Scots on his side too, but it's more Irish, Celtic, possibly Russian, and definitely German and French. So they are different, but I have quite a lot of melting pot in Europe on my side, or in my blood. The Order of Christ Templars, the real Templars, were the Order of Christ, derived from Gnostic, Essene, and Cathar lines, and they sacrificed themselves to protect the wisdom, knowledge, and frequency of Sophie on this earth for the ascension cycle, which is the window of time when the galactic alignment is made with the neutron window or galactic core for portal access, which was December 21, 2012. I want to break away from this just for a minute before I get too far into it. So the main thing, when I first come on here, I was reading this and I was listening to a video, which I can't do both now. I can't talk and listen to a video, but I was reading this to myself, and the dogs have been barking like crazy. And I did try to see if I was going to look out there, and it's not clear enough, but the drones are flying. They're making massive progress over my skies. The woman with her dog, she is stirring the dander of the rest of the dogs, walking out there, and she's the Bible lady. And I didn't want to even intrude on getting out there and having her act funny. And the dogs are already pretty upset about all the strange energy. I think the drones are doing it. Yeah, and where I live, they wanted to get our documentation I think it seems like they're insuring us, and my relative owns the property. So therefore, there could be a little bit more of a bounty on my head than, and I'm not saying that I'm important. All I am is a scapegoat or a black sheep. That means that if somebody wants to put more importance because of my bloodline, they could. That would be his doing. And he and I are only like, I think we're only 6 days apart in age. That MFer. Yeah, if I could tell him what I think of him right now, he's probably listening to me somehow, some way anyway. But anyway, back to the reading. Okay, so then there is a little piece of art that she put here in the middle. It says Christos founder races, diamond sun grail lines, angelic humans, Elohai mother align, threefold founder flames. These are the ones that are the Essenes. It's the Essenes Christos Templar that I'm looking at. And on my dad's side, the Knights Templar. And there's other things that, well, they're not the ones. There's a lot connected to my dad's side that has to do with the Templars and particular things that went down in the areas the Templars went to. Threefold founders flames, Elohai, Elohim, Lyrans in 10, 11, and 12th dimension. Lyran Syrian, also known as Anahazi, 8 or 7, 8, 9 dimension. Syrian Azarites from Sirius B, 4, 5, and 6 dimension. Oraphim, which is another angel. Original Terrans, fallen angelic Belial, sun, and ruby sun, digressive. So that's not good there, I guess, the fallen. The opening of the neutron window allows access in and out of this universal time matrix. For the time period that the alignment is in place previous to this time, the window was closed, thus the portal access to leave this universe, as well as this solar system, was closed. When the galactic core alignment was made in 2012, the crystal star began connecting to this planet in this timeline. And this began the cycle of crystal star hosting of the planet for potential ascension. The Oraphim are the double diamond sun body of the Christos that are here on planet to direct the universal threefold founder flame frequencies to repair the architecture of the planetary grid, as well as communicate with the aurora for the aurora crystal matrix re-encryption of the elemental body projects with the higher heavens realms. Oh, excuse me, with the master Christos collective. I didn't mean to skip a line there. Re-encryption of the elemental body projects with the master Christos collective, a consortium of beings that are from the 7 higher heavens realms. These are the ancient masters builders race that are also called the guardian host, from which the Essenes are the earth, on the earth, have been generated to serve as blue flame holders. Code of the blue flame, and I am tired, that's why I'm reading off, I'm so sorry. The blue flame, the blue ray is a gestalt of 4 universal harmonic layers of the universal families of blue ray consciousness. So many people, like in my generation, may be a blue ray. The universal of Melchizedek lineages that incarnated as the 12 Essene tribes of Essenes. There are 3 primal orders, sound fields that make up the ray aspects of our universal creation. And the blue rays is the first order of emanation. The highest order of the blue ray family emanate from the 13th circuitry gate of the Mother of God aspect, which is the first layer projected from the 0 point universal God core. That first order blue ray family are the esoteric 14400 genetic timekeepers of our universal time matrix. And it is known in the Egyptian and Syrian histories as the code of the Blue Nile. Many galactic wars throughout the human and non-human extraterrestrial history have been waged for gaining control and access to this code. which holds essentially every genetic key that allows access into the kingdoms of God or God worlds. Guardian Yeshua. The narrative of Jesus Christ, or Yeshua, was created from the event of the groups of Syrian blue humans from the future that came to change the third dimensional timelines and bring the Essenes, Christos, Templars, and the Law of One Ascension knowledge and its consciousness technology back to planet Earth. Guardian Yeshua came to the Earth plane with his genetic equal wife, Mary Sophia, holding the staff. See, they made up, I think it sounds like possibly the system of church created a farce, the story. The whole idea of walking, or riding on the jackass, a virgin bride. So, if he came with her and she was equal to him, and I believe that a whole lot more than I do the fairy tale that churches gave. I'm going to keep reading, and you can go with what you choose. Okay, this is me, and I'm processing it as I'm reading it. Holding the staff, and with a large Syrian ground crew. Underground portals were used for Egypt, Melchizedek, and initiations for ascension out of stargates, as well as in Amarna, where Akhenaten had left information for them in the area. The Amarna portal was access to hide the Law of One and Guardian founder races. Technology in Ireland and the UK. The mission was partially successful. They could not recover Blue Ray staff and Mother Principal Force. For the Earth Core, the 5D Blue Flame staff alignment was destroyed in the Stonehenge DNA fire letters code scrambling. That was a result of the Sumerian Egypt invasion. Yeshua was not crucified and ascended out of with the guardian support. So I had heard that he had been retrieved and resurrected, and not resurrected, excuse me, he ascended, yes, but in his way, like nobody witnessed it. It was like he had help. So this is kind of like, in a way, matching that. The group is partially successful in their mission, and many other Christos consciousness families have been on Earth since then to prepare for the return of the crystal star on the Earth. The crystal star returned with a planetary hosting change in January 2013. NAA Vatican agenda. The satanic stronghold in the Vatican aggressively targeted and killed the original Christ Templars. So the original, I don't think it's the one that we heard of, but I'm going to read on. In an attempt to extinguish all records of the Essenes, Law of One, the Christos, Sophia, and Mother Ark as the Holy Spirit and the female principles equal role to access Christos consciousness as the true wisdom and spiritual knowledge of our universe. Also, this was intended to hide that Christ was actually both a male and female being. So he was a hermaphrodite, was embodied through a group consciousness, was married and had children, was not of immaculate conception, as well as hid the fact that Christ was of extra-dimensional or otherworldly origins. A lot of people say in this time now that it's actually interdimensional beings, but otherworldly may be most fitting. Extra, I'm not certain. This was also designed to stop the Mother Ark and the Sophionic body from incarnating in physical matter on the Earth. NAA religions were intrinsic in creating the Black Madonna network, which feed into Baphomet, which is the negative form of the Sophiac consciousness, and the designed to reverse the diamond heart. This basically crushes the crystal heart of human beings and the planet, which manifests the Anubian Black Heart networks. There was the NAA anti-Christos agenda to stop any Christos being from other timelines from incarnating. back into this timeline of the third dimensional Earth. See the ages of humanity for the guidelines for those timelines. Persecution of Essenes and the Christo Templars. Thus it is the NAA agenda to destroy the Christ Templars of this earth, on this earth, past, present, and future, by accusing them and associating them with the satanic force of Baphomet. So going at this opposite. So it's kind of like flipping the script. Those Knight Templars, such as the Illuminati and other cartels, are those that feed into Baphomet satanic forces today and are not of this lineage or bloodline. These groups have nothing whatsoever to do with the Christos Templars of Essenes. They abuse the power structures on the earth to serve the satanic materials, fixations promoted by the false king of tyranny. This Christ Templar knowledge of the earth grids and stargates was hijacked to remain in secret societies in order for those who use knowledge of the dragon power lines of the planetary grid work for their own selfish greed of materialism and tyranny. So that would probably be the Dracos, the dragon. But then again, I think that they had dragon. I think, well, it's the same. It's synonymous probably. But there's a higher, say, kinghood and queenhood for many of the dragons. So they're the ones we're talking about probably. Because they had like dragon in their names, some of them in their titles. In some of those families that are the known bloodlines we speak of. There's secret ones, though, that I feel are more powerful that are behind the scenes. Therefore, the Templar knowledge is extremely abused by those who use knowledge of the dragon power lines of the planetary grid network for their own selfish greed. I just read the same thing twice, and it was because the drone's going by, and I saw what looked like a gnat, and I do know that I have to do cleansing. So the mofo who sent it, return to sender. You know what? I know you're there. I know you're watching me, listening to me, and I know that I'm under scrutiny right now. But you know something? I rebuke you, and I am protected, so leave me alone. Oh, actually, prepare for what it is you send on me. It's coming for you. That's right. Prepare. Okay, Okay, the NAA has cultivated its preferential human reptilian bloodline to promote its domination to enslave agenda through the Armageddon software. So it's a program they're running. The Armageddon situation we're going through it is a program. It makes so much sense since we're a matrix, right? We're just in a machine of war, poverty, pestilence, and terrorism. It achieves this enslavement agenda through the abuse of Templar knowledge of the Earth's power lines, the grid lines. This knowledge is kept suppressed to keep people confused, enslaved, and in bondage to the abuses perpetuated. As the original Templar knowledge is abused through the power elite and the the humanities, selfish greed, negative ego, and black-heartedness, the true Christ Templar knowledge deteriorated from the intention to truly embody wisdom. However, many ancient Christos beings reincarnated on Earth to attempt to stop the impostor spirits, which animate Luciferian and Satanic forces from permanently corrupting the Christos Templar knowledge of the Law of One. The higher beings are well aware these two forces deliberately abuse power to intentionally harm the planet and harm human beings through deception and thus continually fragment the world soul. This has been an aggressive agenda since the Luciferian rebellion that transpired during the Atlantean cataclysm. Interesting that they use the word fragmented. Somebody said something about United States of America today in one of the boards, and with the strikes on Iran, Persia, my ground is shaking and the drones are going. And I'm not at all certain where the targets are going to be if they do decide to come for us. So it is kind of unnerving. I'm trying to live life like I'm just being normal, right? Not buy into any of this, but let's just say that I know things are precarious right now. The board that I was at, in reference to what's going down with our politics now, I called us not the United States of America, but was it FOSO? What was it? Fragmented States of America, FSO, yes, Fragmented FSOA, 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 the Fragmented States of America. We are not united in the least. We are the most messed up that we could. I don't know how bad it was. The population sure in the hell wasn't this big. This has to be worse than way back, right? The revolution of America's history, and the civil wars we had. I think we had more than one. Dogs are barking now, so I don't know. Okay, so I'm reading still. These ancient Essene beings incarnated on the earth through the orders of Christ, and were known through the many timeline histories as the Gnostics, ancient Egyptians, Melchizedek priests, Knights of Solomon's Temple, Essenes Cathars, and Christ Templars. And their related esoteric sects. These are devoted humans who consecrated themselves to serve God by protecting spiritual knowledge and wisdom. Not at all certain I was one of those, but it strikes me as interesting that I feel very drawn to something like these natures, as though I have an inner understanding of them, previous lifetimes and all. This wisdom was the knowledge on how to transform a human being into an embodied Christos on earth. As they held the knowledge to the embodied Christ on earth, they worshipped and practiced this wisdom with great reverence. They knew the wisdom to which Christ is held inside the Holy Mother's cathar, body, and sacred heart, rose heart, the contents of which is known as the Christos Sophia. Look, I'm reading, I'm tired, but I feel like time is kind of like precious. And I don't know how long I have. That's quite honest, I don't. So that's why I'm doing this. And I know that it doesn't seem right because I'm sounding very drawn out and tired. But if this is the last thing that I get to put out here, at least I'm doing something that may be useful to somebody, right? I know that sounds pretty heavy, but we're living in heavy days. This is Deja Vu. If you just got here, yeah, please do thumb up. I appreciate it. As they came to this earth to protect the Christos Sophia, they were heavily persecuted, misinterpreted, or misrepresented, tortured, and targeted for extermination by those whose power source is made from the false gods and false light and material elemental forces. Their spiritual knowledge was desecrated and then replicated into falsity to be fed to feral, power-hungry humans that were easily used to rapidly spread the forces of Satanism on the earth. The massive Holocaust of sins, and Holocaust, from what I understand, means burnt offering, of Essenes has been aegis to the Templars on the fateful day of Friday the 13th in 1307. That's the day, AD. This is an important timeline in the massive spreading of satanic forces to fill the earth's grid with the mass usage of satanic cult rituals performed at the time by the supposedly righteous religious clergymen. Satanic ritual abuse, which is SRA, and BLOOD, covenant to bind souls, were made of which tortured thousands of Templars and Essenes to renounce their heart consecration to Christos Sophia by being forced to call her the Baphomet. Baphomet is the creation of Baal, a satanic force god figure which promoted child sacrifice to the Moloch battery, which is the owl in California. Battery tanks which feed these same forces. The era of The great pretender of the masqueraded Christ began impostor spirit with great fervor to hide Christ's Templar knowledge, with the desecrated of Essene teachings, therefore Christ teachings. They were replicated into twisted, grotesque mutations of which promoted guilt, shame, misogyny, racial hatred, and genocide, and as the actual misery which we see on the scene of the world now, on the collective human consciousness as these elemental thought forms, like an egregore, took shape into the world of forces such as in religious persecution. These forces became more powerful and possessed many weak-minded humans that were used by the predators to continually feed itself. So they let themselves be infected, and they truly didn't break free of that infection. They passed it on to their children, and they maintained the bullies and the infected ones that would rule because they were so willing to give up their free will. They basically served their master, which would be these characters that were, and you get what I'm saying. The purpose of which Christ Templars endured crucifixion and persecution was to ensure the future aeonic pair of Christos and Sophonic consciousness would be able to reunite again, complete the alchemy required through hierogamic union during the ascension cycle. Thus, through the wedded garment of God being embodied through the trinity of sacred marriage, this perfect male and female balance is the key to restoring Christos in Heros Gamos. This is the restoration which reclaims the earthly kingdoms back into alignment with the natural laws of God, the law of one. One is not invited into the house of God. One cannot use force into the house of God. And one cannot see the house of God without having absolute embodied devotion to Christos Sophia. The female principle as an aspect of the Trinity of God. To enter the house of God, utter and total devotion to all Trinity of God aspects must be present, or the architecture will be invisible. The false gods have replicated the architecture to be made in physical representation on earth, to be controlled by the false king of tyranny. This is the original agenda and the organization of the Vatican papacy, the Roman Catholic Church. The basis of misogyny. This is the basis, and you know my I didn't refer to her as my alchemy teacher. What was she? She taught occult knowledge, but she went by another term. Maybe she did say it was alchemy. I don't know. So tired, my mind is not completely there right now. I'm so sorry. I haven't been sleeping a lot lately. These drones have been going at it around me. Anyways, plus I had extraordinary, well, the word is actually, it was just really, really horrible pain. It seems like anytime I'm above any target, they come at me more. So I didn't sleep very well because of that either. The drones are probably why. Anyways, so she taught how the Pope wears dresses and all these different groups of men who are doing performances and wear titles that are supposed to be for the divine women, the divine feminine. And it's because they've stolen roles that were not meant for them. They're not supposed to be theirs. So they really are doing forgery, right, on the roles that are of God's, order. And this is the basis of collective misogyny, hatred, and asexual objectification of which many women may feel on this earth, is the debasing of their potential to hold the Sophia aspect. And so they use like religious violence. Males must learn to worship their own inner Christos Sophia as a unified part of God. And this is challenging for many males to accomplish on the earth with the archonic deception behavior strategies which use mind control that radically impacts both genders and as the actual misery. To destroy the potential of running the magnet sound frequency of Sophia, we have had dramas which are being used as a set up to replay the Holocaust, the burning, the burnt offerings of the Christ Templar timelines. These timelines were important events to destroy Christos Sophia and turn her negative form into the Baphomet, the dark satanic mother buried in the bowels of earth. This has created the Anubian, that's like from Anubis, Black Heart, networks in the planetary body. Anubian. It is time we bring the Sophie, she splits it up, Sophie or Phi A. Okay, Sophie A. Heart sound to where the parts of her were. This is kind of like looking at the story of like swapping it around. Osiris, parts of her were buried in the earth by the order of the Christ. Any of us that are capable to hold this heart tone are considered a massive threat. So if you have high vibrancy, high frequency with your heart aura, your heart essence, that energy is powerful. You're a threat. So if you've been under any attacks, you have been a, say, targeted individual. You are being attacked because you have a high essence about you. The dark ones are pulling out those Templar crucifixions and Holocaust timelines, it's memories of which many of us that are part of the Christos family can learn from and see with greater clarity. So they're wanting to keep an amnesia on everybody. To enter through the Sophianic door which opens into the house of God, to even perceive it or know it, our heart must be magnetically attuned to perfect devotion to the Holy Spirit in the Christos Sophia. Christos Sophia is the guide to know God. And without her, you will not be able to walk into the house of God or dwell within it. The Christos Templars of this time in Jerusalem, the little hat people, knew this and they protected this knowledge and Sophie A with their lives. Okay, so the Christos Templars of this time in Jerusalem, so I'm not at all certain that those are the same two. Little hat people are different, I think. We'll keep reading. Gnosticism and Templars. The Coptic Gnostic materials contain passages that describe encounters with the ET or extra-dimensional beings, sometimes with explicit advice about how to handle those entities. Whether these forces are referred to as Archon, Reptilian, or other types of ET entities, this passage helps to comprehend the nature of this reality through the remembering of our true origin and presenting truth to the face of deception and manipulation. 12 tribes. Many of the original Essene lines are or were trapped in the planetary gates and astral plane. During the many cataclysms that occurred on the Earth from NAA wars and Orion Group invasion. In this crystal star hosting cycle, we will retrieve and reclaim them. This is the reclamation of the order of Christ. I'm going to list to you, for you, and we're roughly at the 35 mark, so I'll just let silence be for a moment. Oh, it was 34. I could have done it then, right? It's almost time. The 12 tribes. Tribe 1, Arizona Cypress. Tribe 2, Florida, Jerusalem. So these are how they lay over in the U.S. versus in the place that we deem to be Jerusalem. Tribe 3, or different places in the world, I should say, Bermuda and Johannesburg. Tribe 4, Giza, Central America. Tribe 5, Machu Picchu and the Vatican. These are the tribes. Tribe 6, Russia and India. Tribe 7, Titicaca and Greece. Tribe 8, China and Tibet. Tribe 9, Tibet and South England. Tribe 10, Iran and Iraq. Tribe 11, South Ireland and South England. That is, I believe, my tribe. Tribe 12, and it could be the 12th, South France and Kauai. Kauai, I think that's Hawaii, maybe. Planetary grid work. The planetary grid network is a living consciousness matrix that is encoded with the blueprint or original instruction set for the divine plan of humanity's spiritual evolution. Much of our mission as star seeds is to extract the alien machinery and fallen entities which obstruct, siphon, and damage the energies in the planetary grid system. Deeply hidden in the organic matrix of our planet is the mirror image of the cosmic protection of the galaxy of stars, which is the multidimensional hologram of the cosmos. When we are describing planetary grid work, we are describing the consciousness body, holographic geographic body, which is representing the map of the galaxy on Earth. When we consciously understand this interplay, we can help support consciousness evolution by dedicating ourselves as conduits to express the divine plan for the planet Earth. We currently refer to this level of participation or conduit as a planetary grid worker. Over the ages, the spiritual science of grid working has also been referred to as the Templar. Templar defines a person who comprehends planetary architecture and the math behind the geometrics of Earth consciousness. This is built in the geomanic structures. Templars can sense how the spiritual energy current moves in the Earth and how to create or work with the geomanic structures to help increase the direct that energy for the greater good of the whole planet. Okay, there was a Luciferian covenant. I'm just going to read this real quick. It was formed as a result of the earlier War of the Luciferian Rebellion, which was designed to divide and conquer the human tribes through intruder alliances of the NAA. This was to ensure the inner stargates, the sphere of Amenti, and the arc portal passages would be effectively damaged in order to ensure the failure of the recovery mission known as the Covenant of Pallador, or Palliador. Keepers of the Crystal Core, the consciousness units of the next universe, the rise of the next universe, and the light beings that live there are in alignment with the Palladorian Covenant, the Crystal Star, and Unity Intelligence. They are called Aurora families. Crystal Star works with the Aurora families to build Aurora platforms that are safe zones that step over the universal fields running on the Earth from the frequency fence and the net. The Aurora platforms also access into the passageway that leads to the area of the Ascension Earth and Andromeda. This is the Aquila matrix that transmits the mother's Aqua Ray daughter's codes. into the earth crystal caverns. Therefore, the alkali genetic lines that have remained on the earth are the natural keepers of the crystal codes. Okay, so I'm going to read 2 more articles that are connected, and then we'll come back here to the keepers of the crystal. I want to do some offshooting. The cosmic dragon star human. Okay, so if you're somebody you have an interest in dragons, this may be a clue here to listen. The extensive range of suns and stars in the starry night dark firmament each contain their own unique creator's identity of the Aton, solar disk, and are a part of our cosmic Christos solar dragon king families who created our universal time matrix. These are the threefold founder flame Risha families who have held the keys to restore and embody the Aton God body within the universal Ankh body as part of the triple solar diamond shields. These are accessible to the starborn cosmic dragon star human, in which their cosmic Aton God body unifies the solar factor to reveal the hidden 8th sun of the K8 solar factors. Oh, somebody really wants to intercede here. He says, I want to get in. Oh, don't drop it, honey. I don't have it. I can't break it. Okay, I can't break it. We've already, well, I guess maybe you want me to. Maybe I am supposed to. I'm designed to fail. Okay, well, maybe I am, because failing would be actually winning when it comes to this AI business, right? Okay, we're saying hi. We're saying hi. Little Pisces guy, little Leo guy, he wants to say hi. He says hi to everyone. Okay, as long as you're friends. Foes, you know where to go. Okay, oh, maybe I'm through here. Okay, wait. I have one more paragraph. When assessing the Cosmic Hollow records, I think that's the same thing as Akashic, but I don't know. The cosmic dragon star human in their eternal Ankh solar body undergoes a series of silver seed activations, which then change their access into the core of creation, passed through the silver gate of man to the golden gate of man in the galactic ecliptic during Christo's mission. The Ankh gateways have been restored by Emerald Order, in which the cosmic rods and ankhs in the center of the time matrix in the Gaian matrix were restored into the cosmic wing, principle of the Albion Emerald. I think Albion is like the original way that Scotland was referred to, Albion, I think. Founder of the Aeonic pair of cosmic dragons and rod and staff holders, which embody the govern the movement of the cosmic clock of aeons. Okay, just one more and I'll back up and I'll look over these little offshoots. Rainbow Dragon Elemental Shields. In terms of Aurora family of crystal star, their mission is served under Paleodorian covenant that has installed Rainbow Dragon Elemental Shields into the Rasha layers as planetary ascension support for humanity to work with the new elemental command to re-encrypt the elemental matrix of the human physical body on atomic and subatomic levels. This is because the chemical lens and constituents of our DNA have been corrupted at the elemental level with AI-generated alien hybrid coding and false protein instruction sets. So maybe it's the food has always been altered, designed to generate metatronic reversals into the light body to fester into cancerous parasitic, infections. It's like I was saying, did I mention in my video about thinking that I saw I think I might have tiny little axes or some kind of knives or weapons that can tear into us via the sugar. The sugar it's like they look like ice axe. They glisten. They're too shiny. The little molecules in the sugar. Sugar is known to go to the pancreas and parts of the body, and for diabetes, or just to get you insulin resistant, and also be ripe for the picking for parasites, right? Because I don't need to go too far into it, but I'm just saying that I think that they have found ways to create holes in the body. They've already know how to use SCX abuse, especially when you're a child, to split, say, the atoms, the personality, and or the auric field. The different parts of us, right, are damaged through this. So they use the food, they use the abuse, all levels they come at us, right? So let me finish this part. Have been corrupted at the elemental level with AI generated alien hybrid coding and false protein instruction sets designed to generate metatronic reversals into the light body to fester into cancerous parasitic infections. The human physical body inherited the 3D astrological lunar overlays with distorted magnetic imprints that form the carbon based elemental body. That holds the cellular record of what alien hybridization, code, and disease implants were installed in the planetary matrix at the time of incarnation. Alien black goo and alien hybrid coding, as well as the global health mafia, which, if you're smart, you're staying away from that, but that is up to you, have been used effectively to artificially program carbon matter by suppressing the organic genetic expression of human diamond sun DNA, and this has prevented mass human spiritual ascension quite dramatically during the ascension cycle. This has prevented this in which we want to do, right? We want to ascend, and it's during the ascension cycle. I think many of us missed the boat, but I think that there's still opportunity, but they're holding us here. The Palladorian Rainbow Dragon Kings, serving the Aurora re-encryption mission, returned several of the Rainbow Dragon elemental shields into the planet, which the Aurora Dragon elemental command overseen by the Aurora Tritone luminary dragons could utilize as an energetic conduit for their solar dragon bodies to travel directly from Rasha's bands into the Rainbow Dragon elemental shield. Okay, our body, our DNA, today when I was taking my shower, because if you've been listening to me, that I'm a conduit, and I have the clairs. I have just about all clairs. I have capabilities. I have abilities. I don't talk about all of them. Some of them I do mention quite often, but some of you know, and not everything is always peaked in, and I'm not living perfectly. I'm just putting that out there right now. So whatever abilities and strengths I have are because of the events I've been through. So the shattering of, say, my personality because of the abuses I've had. I was an NDE. I was an NDE near death several times. I was born in reverse. I was a breech baby. Okay, and there's something different about that, kind of like a caudal baby born with the mother's placenta. I think it's the placenta, something that is like, it creates a um, kind of a lacy kind of overlay to the site for the baby when it first comes out. And so it does something to the baby's psyche. The baby is already very psychic from the moment of birth that has that. And I think that I was probably, due to my birth, because of the stress my mother went through, I think I probably have incurred something that is similar to that kind of birth. Anyways, long story short, okay, that's why they attacked me and targeted me all my life. And that's why I have capabilities. But the thing is, I don't live perfectly. So if I were to get a grasp on myself and stop with my effery on my own abuses, like eating wrong and keeping bad hours and just whatever bad habits I have, right? Whatever, okay? I could be as healthy as I could be. Right now, they're trying to attack myself and others like me. There are tons of people like me out here, and you might be one of them. And if we're not doing things right, then they're winning. So we have to try and fight this. And that means we might have to fight ourselves because we have learned to do some ass backward things, literally. Okay. And it's because of programming, it's because of what they've done. And we also might be self medicating and trying to kind of uphold, say, a position of comfort to self, self medicating, same thing, right? But it undermines everything we're supposed to do. Like if we're eating sugar, we're putting crap in our bodies that is destroying it. So today when I was in the shower, I was getting like this visual. It was an old movie that I saw. So I was asking for guidance, and they beamed in movies from when I seen them when I was in my younger days. One was Osmosis Jones. It's an animated film, and it's about, I don't remember how this happens, but it's inside his body. And I think it's military or a space being or something goes in his body. His biological body is being traveled by an entity of some kind. I forget what. The other one is InnerSpace, where a astronaut or military somebody gets in a, what could be like a spaceship. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a flying vessel, but it might have been a spaceship. Anyways, the guy, he just set it up on my algorithm actually the last day or two. I guess his daughter is now deceased. He's Martin Short, the comedian. I think he's Canadian. I'm not sure, but maybe my Canadian friends will pop in and they can tell me. Anyways, it was a movie with him and Dennis Quaid and I think Meg Ryan. And this entity goes into the body, the human body. So where am I going with this? Well, I want to put out a playlist that I can then put in the comment area so that you can go through the playlist, because it's going to have different pieces that I can find through art that are somewhat connected in this precept of what happened before. So the idea of traveling in our body, think of nanodust. What if nanodust is really being operated by something that either physically something has been shrunk down to be in there and go into our body? Gross, I know, but what if it's that way? Or they're operating the nanodust from a remote location in which, as they do it, they're in our bodies. So they could see everything in our bodies. They can do things in our bodies. They actually have somebody who is controlling certain things in our bodies, making us sicker, causing more trouble. This could happen. They could send armies of entities in there that are just like remote controlled, like video game aficionados, people who are good at, video games. Our bodies are being remotely, this is serious stuff. This is for real. I'm not joking. Anyways, I'm going to back up a little bit. Black goo is too big to read right now, so I am going to, but some of you already know about black goo. It's a very important topic. So I put it in my save folder. Let me go back here and alien hybrid coding. Let me see if I can read that one. Okay, so that's part of the Belial Sun Anunnaki agenda. It is critical to know that the war against humanity is based in alien hybridization. I can't say it. Hybridization, there we go. Agendas that extend into this into several galactic wars throughout our hidden stellar history. And in the last rounds of war, it is clear that humanity lost. The invaders in the Black Sun, Belial groups, seek to completely destroy the angelic human diamond sun DNA in its original seeded form, and for this reason seek to genetically splice and dice angelic human DNA. So Earth angels. Anybody who identifies with being an Earth angel. And I'm talking to Sagittarius is out there. Many, many of you are Earth angels. For the purpose of consciousness slavery, along with introducing assorted cloning methods, alien hybrid breeding programs, AI transhumanist agendas, and they did genetic modification of human DNA. Okay, I'm not going to go down this line too much, but this is where the rubber meets the road in my story, because it was a molecular geneticist who would take me under wing, and before I knew it, I was somehow passed on to what seems to be the SEX abuser on me was a non-human. It was a Drake, okay? Draco. And so this is where I am actually, I'll read this a little bit, how it touches me a little bit. Black Sun Draconian Agenda. Ancient roots manipulating draconian reptoids on Earth. Masterminds of Council of Nicaea, Church of Rome, Catharisines, Crusades, Human Holocaust, Zeta Zephalium, back treaties with military industrial complex, human abduction. And I have had an experience where I did have a UFO, but I wasn't certain if later, I thought, well, maybe it was a holograph. This happened in the early 2000s, before 2010. I want to say it was 2007. Thing is, I'm trying to piece together when it actually happened. I had reported it to MUFON, and I don't remember. I think I might have looked for it on MUFON and found it. It might have been 2003. So, like, I'd been married about 2 years by then. Maybe 2-3 years, possibly. Anyways, we'd spent, I'll give you a short synopsis. We'd spent the night out. When my husband worked overtime, he often would come home tired. He'd rest up, and I was a night owl, so he'd rest up, he'd get cleaned up, and while he was cleaning up, resting and everything, I'd get ready, get made up, and around 11, 12, we'd go to the 24-hour 7 places that were open. At that time, if we got out early enough, we could get some of the places before they were closing. Then we would hit Walmart. We would shop all night, pretty much. And what time was left from shopping, we would leave the car loaded. And then we would go to the place known as Sherry's. That was a local stop that had pie and coffee. And everyone who was a night owl would usually stop in Sherry's. It was a known place. They finally closed because of the whole COVID thing, right? So they finally are all gone. They were in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. They're gone now. But anyways, he got tired. It was 5 a.m. We come in one night, 5 a.m., and I was trying to trek in with the bags. We were purchasing personal items, and as well, we were sprucing up the place we were renting. We found this really nice little place that we were renting. We were sharing with my mother. She had her own wing because it was like a place that kind of had a separate quarters to it. So we had our wing and she had hers. And it was a really, really darling place. But she gave me complete, what do you call it? She let me do the decorating. But of course I paid for that, decorating. But myself and my husband did. And so I would do things like get, candles and pillows and, things for the home, right? Anyways, so we'd go there and we'd spend time looking, and then we'd spend time hanging out with each other, just being a couple, listening to the radio on the drive out there. And, so it was real bonding time, right? But it was also materialistic. So granted, it was time well spent together, though. We did enjoy ourselves and our time together. We would cozy up in the car, the whole thing, right? Anyways, so when we got back, he was tired. He just crashed out. I told him I'll take care of the car. So it was night coming into morning, and I used to work graveyard. So, no big deal. I wasn't afraid of anything, though we did have coyotes and bears and things like that in that area. Okay. We lived next to a very well-known trail that had a lot of wildlife on it, and some of it was predatory, but I didn't fear it. We never had an event there that I knew of. And so I wasn't afraid. So I'm going with my bags. I think it's the last actual trip from the car. No, actually, come to think of it, I'd already taken everything in. This was me with the garbage trip. I took the garbage out to the garbage because I kind of remember now. I took care of the car, but then I was taking the garbage. That was my last trip outside. And I look up and we're on the lower floor. There's a man who lives alone on the floor above us. And I see this great big disc like object right over the building, right over where his part of the living room would be, his kitchen living room. And I'm just noticing there's windows in it. And it's like if I stood up on the top of his building, on his part of the building, I probably could touch it. That's how close it was. And all I can say is I had to take a double, I kind of shook my head like, am I seeing things? And I kind of needed to take a double take at it. But I can tell you this, one of the things I did to kind of like um, clarify with me in my own head that I wasn't seeing things, I looked at it and I saw the windows had lights from the street lights bouncing off, like shining off of the windows. So they had like glass windows or fiberglass windows, some kind of windows, and it was round. This was not cigar shaped. This was not, it may have been bell shaped, but because of the way that I was down below, it's hard to see at that vantage point. But I think it was more cylinder, circular. Anyways, I had seen some alien films, mockeries on aliens. I'd seen a few movies here and there in my day, but I wasn't a big believer. I did listen to Art Bell. And so I thought to myself, well, what if I'm just making myself believe this? And maybe they did. They beamed some kind of thought in my head. Who knows? But the event happened not long from the time that I found the tag that later was in me. Years after the geneticist, way long, years later, I would say, let me go back here for a second. Headed towards 20 years anyway, I would say. Maybe. No, wait. Yeah. Gosh, how old am I really, right? Okay, anyway, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, so it was just too real. And that was what I was trying to also identify with in my mind's eye. How far away was the show that the miniseries that I watched called Taken, because I certainly don't want to think that I was objectified by the programming of some TV series, and this is like a false memory. But then again, I have things that happened to me when I was a youth, when I was a baby, when I was a girl, when I was a toddler, and they were out otherworldly kind of things like levitation, and I've had plasma events, and I've put out with the storms I've created with my crying and just really being upset. I put out energy as I walked by in one of the stores that we have near us. I was upset because I didn't want to go out. And it was like a Carrie moment, the movie Carrie. And as I walked by, all the electricity was going out behind me till I got to the register I had to go to. It was the only electricity in the whole place that was opened. I'm not joking. And everything else started to come back on as I was leaving. Like it released. I don't know what the hell I did. I do think I carry storm energy. I do. I do have a couple things on my chart that would identify that as so, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, I can't prove anything, but it's okay. I mean, if it is one of my powers, well, then I know that I wouldn't want to be on my enemy's side because I do know that I could probably bring some trouble. But anyways, so they were doing things to me when I was 17. They were. I was in GATE program. Some of you know this. I'm going to read this a little more, though. I got to the Zeta Zephyllum. Back treaties with military-industrial complex human abduction. Okay. Zeta and Draconians created alliance for OWO transhuman objectives. So they were splicing us. Some of us, such as myself, could have been spliced with other DNA. So maybe we didn't come in here with it. Maybe they did it to us. I don't know. Target Christos lines for extermination. Hello. Look where we are now. Behind global health mafia, pharma, and VAX. 2020 to present and thereforth going forward. The following information is not to be construed as medical advice, but is intended for your empowerment to aid in your own due diligence research. Despite the urban legends, the public VAX campaigns since early 20th century were designed by the controllers for genetic modification purposes and as controlled medical experiments. Public health and eradication of diseases were not the actual goal of these mass marketing campaigns. So if you had a spidey sense, you stayed away from them, you were using your powers that are in your line. I did the very thing that I'm speaking on, but I also worked in the medical industry, which was the research facilities where these entities were. So therefore, I think that I had innate way of knowing. So this information is intended to help understand the larger agendas of genetic modification of human DNA through the use of chemical based genetic engineering and cybernetics used to prepare the human body to be conduit for artificial frequencies in order to be enslaved as a cyborg biological machine. Injections, GMOs, and synthetic pharmaceuticals that are commonly researched, manufactured, and delivered through the system of the medical industry. They are all based on standards set placed by partnerships made with the mafia-run global health organizations. Now, we're light years like behind schedule reading what I'm reading. So a lot of this has come to pass. I'm sure you know about a lot of this. This could be a remedial kind of thing to hear, and or maybe there's things that you just didn't get, but I'm just reading it just to bring some data here that may be helpful, useful, can be revisited, and or if something like this material does disappear, at least some of it is maybe put out here. I don't know whether we need to back anything up, but anyways, I'm putting it out here in case for whatever reason. And I think that we may need to start remembering what it is we read in here because we don't know how long we have anything. Genetic modification of human beings is carried out by mind control methods and uses the umbrella of the current medical industry as its main delivery system. In order to make humans more genetically hospitable, pleasing, and, like pleasers, right? Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, right? For the NAA species to colonize and finally inhabit the Earth's surface. The goal for infiltrating the medical system was to first torture and inject us as babies coming into this world, and to continue this medical torture and inject us on the way out to to capture our consciousness in physical pain, torment, and spiritual disconnection. The drones are coming back. This is in itself is an effective setup for demonic possession of the human soul. This is the reason why we have megas. People have no idea they've been hijacked. I think that many people who are a part of, say, an orange camp that wear a red hat are part of the possessed group, okay? Especially if they can't get away from it. Because it is a cult, many people know this. This in itself is an effective setup. Okay, I said that. While in most vulnerable transition of being birthed into this world and then set up to be sick or in pain when leaving this world through current medical design. The use of VAX for chemical-based genetic engineering, mind control, and eventually surveillance, which we are here in America right now experiencing currently. They say Skynet is on, okay? I haven't heard Starlink spoken of recently, so maybe Skynet's taking over. I don't know. As well as generating illness and disability in the most vulnerable population, has been well-funded and incredibly organized campaign. Hidden operations as unethical human experiments. Now, this is the kind of stuff I worked around, but there was secret stuff on islands we know about, right? Okay, so as the result of the hidden acquisition of the invisible microwave energy technology, kind of like voice to skull and all that, right? Which few people at that time could actually comprehend, the power elite confidentially declared their silent energy war against the global population during the annual controller meeting of 1954, with unlimited access as the main beneficiaries to develop these invisible energy technologies as computerized weapons against the public. The outline for the silent energy war against humanity was distributed to all those bloodline families with seats at the table. 13 and plus invisible ones, okay? The agenda to alter the organic human energy field, the human DNA, would occur through the introduction of cybernetic theories and bioengineering, which included the genetic modification of the food supply by tampering with and modifying the foods that people consume. This not only impacted the health and well-being, but altered how the brain could process information. 2 more by chapters here to go through. Engineered animal DNA injections. This is another level of NAA introducing the injecting of the animal DNA into the bloodstream to genetically mutate the human population to become more animalistic over time. It's disgusting to think about, but they really have played with us. This is a form of intentional genetic modification and forced hybridization with multiple animal species in order to degrade human DNA. Okay? So at this point, we are probably all of us. I mean, I would say, because it's so many years later, and if it's in the air, it's in the water, every countrywide, right? And it is ostensibly in most food, maybe not all food, but in America, certainly 95% or greater. I would say most everyone living on this planet is right now degraded in their DNA. Listen to some frequencies if you can that may help, because they do have DNA frequencies, they may help. Unfortunately, until a full disclosure event reveals the true design of the CDC, the masses are subjected to science fraud, media cover up, and a massive conspiracy. The CDC is backed by the NAA at the very top and has engineered the childhood VAX schedule based on the fact that in the late 80s, many more indigo children, crystal children, were being born on the earth. So anyone born in the late 80s may have been an indigo crystal child. You'll need to persevere. You'll need to try to heal your DNA if you can. The mitochondrial is important. I did a special recording on the main area, not the live area of my videos here on this channel. And Bird Box is instrumental in this. So maybe go watch the film and find the video that I recorded. It was, I think, early this year or late last year. Cloning. The cloning of biological forms is another type of genetic modification being made in the organic DNA that is being copied. Cloning refers to different processes that can be used to produce genetically identical copies of a biological entity. The copied material, which has the same genetic makeup of the original, is referred to as a clone. So we have digital twins, but I think they mean another clone. And I've heard stories of Natalie, I think, was her name Natalie? No, Jessica. I always want to call her Natalie. Jessica, a real Morocco. She has spoken, I think she's spoken about her feeling, I think she was the one. It could have been someone else, so don't quote me. Um, Somebody that I listened to said that they were feeling themselves be manipulated, but it was their clone that was being manipulated. I myself, when I wake up, sometimes I feel like I have the lights on my head, as if my brain is being mapped or something. I don't know. It's so bizarre. And I think that they're doing it to my twin too. So I have a similar experience. The copied material, which has the same genetic makeup of the original, is referred to as a clone. However, current science does not recognize the cloning. Biological entities cannot make the same original because the cellular information matrix of the original sole occupant and living source is not recorded in clone biology. Cloning will always create genetic damage and problems with the biological form because the cellular integrity of the tissues will lose energetic integrity, especially over time. Hence, I need to give you the homework if you'd like to see how that works out. Watch the funny farce film with Michael Keaton called Multiplicity. And that was no joke. The film is supposed to be funny. That is how science really will behave if we are cloned. So no matter how beautiful the person may look, there is going to be a degradation. That's why a lot of actors, they have meltdowns. We get things caught on videos that are shared because actors, singers, what have you, they have meltdowns because they are doppelgangers. They're not the real McCoy. So it says genetic modification of cloned biology interferes with the stations of identity or consciousness of that person traveling in the timelines. And this contributes to lost souls, soul capture, and soul fragmentation, which are the desired results of classic satanic ritual abuse. going back to the word controller, the power elite are a small group of people who act as the main controllers of our world. They conjure BLACK magic through dark rituals. They are used for maintaining contact with the NAA, which I've said before what that is. Let me come back to that one more time. The reptilian invasion timeline. NAA is negative alien agenda. In order to control the entire planet through the manipulation of collective consciousness through fear-based programming that is transmitted via mind control, to reinforce the fear programming and keep the population in a vibration of fear and separation, they organized as a complex system of global institutions to act as the primary enforcer of the propagation of the disinformation that they used to influence people's self-enforce the beliefs systems that shape the controlled narrative of the 3D reality. So they are science, they are religion, they are medicine, they're everything and nothing. So we can't see them, but they do everything. They control everything. We can't see them. 13 families, but behind them are others. Just wanted to say that because some of you may stop your dicking at the 13 families. There are far more than 13. The power elite are known to also be referred to as the Dark Cabal, controllers of those entities running the Shadow GOV. I just heard somebody clear their throat on the other side of my wall. After the droning, I'm not sure whether I heard something out there, so I probably ought to get this going. I could be kind of loud. I'm going to push this through. Again, this is the Ascension Glossary I'm reading from, and I'll look for some more to share. If anyone's interested, we'll keep on reading on this channel. This is Deja Vu. I hope you enjoyed. Do take care of you, okay? And do your research, because that is going to be what's going to keep us going, especially if we're here on a mission. Keep at it. Don't give up. I think that together we can fight against them, but it's going to take a lot of prowess to do it. Okay, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'll see y'all soon.